Hey, it's Chet Lampert, my journey to personal freedom. It is it's September 21st, 2019. Just go over the last couple of days and what's been going on. So I think last time I had gotten to where, what was it? To where I had it started to work. I had the I2C working with the TI's version of the driver, but I can only do one line, and I need to do 4 lines at a time. And so I kept beating it. I switched to GPIOs. I created a whole new project. I had to learn that. I had to learn the programming of how to program this part. This is this little sensor controller. It's a special C. It's very limited. You can't do anything kind of expressions and if statements, and it's just a lot of rules that are just super limiting, and it makes you write your code just strange ways. But it's like a puzzle. You got to figure it out. So I figured it out, got it written for GPIO, and then the stupid I figured out, I don't have to use a mux. It was like me and this guy Chris at work, we were talking about it, and I was just describing this thing, and I'm like, yeah, if I can make this pin an open drain, then I don't need a mux, and I don't need this extra part, and I don't need this extra current drain, which would, if I can save current drain, I'll save it. If I can't, I can't. But I'm gonna freaking try. That's for sure. I'm gonna make it the best I can. So I figured it out. I got one working. So where I got the full interface, like doing a real write to the sensor from this super low power sensor controller, which is like super ideal with no mux and no nothing, and I see it working perfectly. And then I try the other ones, and it's like all the waveforms all fucked up, and it's like, Jesus Christ. So I figure that out. I'm just trying to explain, not about the technical stuff, but about like this is what it's like this is the kind of non-stop fucking things that get in your way that you got to overcome, and that's the whole point of the business name, obstacle elimination. You just gotta barrel through them. I'm just gonna describe some of these they're technical things, but just the concept of the hitting these roadblocks and having to push through them or go around them or change direction or whatever. It's just, that's the stuff I want that you guys to understand, but I'm just going to use the technical problems that I just hit as a way to convey that in my life right now. So just because it's my journey to personal freedom, and this is what it's like, this is the stuff that is tough. So I'm getting in there with crazy code, crazy whatever. Is my wife up? Maybe not. So the crazy code, I got lost. Oh, and I got one working, and I can do bidirectional, which is not supposed. Like I talked to the TI rep, and he's like, yeah, it's not supposed to work, but I figured out this open drain little side door that it's kind of, you just got to read the docs and just get super detailed, and that's why it's pretty overwhelming, but at least it's a small part, and it's one document I got to read. It's not like a whole fucking library of a million documents. It's one. If you got to really understand it, and maybe you can find some tricks. So I found this trick, and that he didn't even know about. And he's not an expert on that exact part. He's a microprocessor in general expert, so he's not supposed to know every little tiny thing about every little tiny thing, because he didn't work on this specific part, but he's been trained on it. That's it. Trained, like, probably gone through the labs, but I've done a lot more with it than he has, clearly. So I found the back door. Hold on. Then I use it, and then it worked. And then I tried it, and that's one pin. I'm like, okay, and I can do whatever speed. I can do the 400. I can do the max rate of the sensor, which is what I might not be able to run it because the sensor might not be able to keep up, but at least it's not me slowing the sensor down. It's the sensor slowing itself down, which is fine. So then I tried to get all 4 working, and that was a struggle because the waveform was all screwed up. Well, I thought it was the waveform all screwed up, but it turned out it was just, for some reason, this little back door. I know why people probably think it's impossible, because once you turned it on a 1 pin, if you then turned it on a different pin, which is what I had to do because I had 4 different ones. So once I turned it on with a different pin, well, this is what I found out. Like, everything stopped working. Like, and I didn't know if it was the open drain. I didn't know if it was the input thing not working. I didn't know if it was the timing of the waveform. I mean, all I know is it's not working anymore. That's what I know. So so you have to tackle each one of those things individually to get to the answer. So because I'm still, I mean, I don't think it's possible. I think it's like 50% possible at this point that I'm gonna make it work. But then I'm thinking, but I'm gonna try because I'm right there. I'm like so close. So, so I keep beating on it, keep changing the waveform shape, and then I'm like, fuck, man, what is going on? Why is this? And then I make it the perfect shape with the perfect waveform, and it took me like, I don't know, like 10 hours, 12 hours, just dorking with this minute movements of the signal. It's just minutia. You're moving them microseconds difference. Like it's, yeah, microseconds. Like okay, move it to the left 400 nanoseconds. 400, yeah, to the right 1 microsecond. No, not microsecond. They're all nanoseconds. It's like billionths of seconds. This is what we're talking about. So so I have to move these things around, and that's just electronics. It's a crazy number, but yeah, that's literally what we're doing. We're moving them by 80 billionths of a second, and that matters. And that's, if it's slow, that's slow in my world. It's amazing how fast shit goes. So like, I don't think about it conceptually ever. I think about it, I just got to make it work. But if you think about how fast shit's moving around in the atmosphere right now, it's unworldly what we're doing with technology. That is amazing, and I fucking do it, which is crazy. But I never thought of it that way, like how fast shit's really going. 80 billionth of a second matters. If that's off by that much, it doesn't fucking work. And that's slow in my world. That's amazing, because so much happens in that amount of time. That's mind blowing. So whatever. That's a tangent. That was just a wow moment. It's weird. I have a wow moment. So I figured that make it perfect. Then it's not working, and I'm like, fuck. So like, then I was like, okay, well, what worked? Let me figure out what worked. So it was just the one working. So I left the waveform the same speed, and I made the one work. I was like, fuck. Maybe it's not the waveform, because I made the waveform perfect. I mean, so we're talking about 80 nanoseconds matters, and I make it fucking perfect. And so I'm thinking, well, let me turn that one off and try another one by itself. Maybe it's the by itself thing. And I'm like, okay. So I try the other one on by itself, and it works. I'm like, oh, so maybe this switching the modes is not like it's something that it normally, it's like something that it really works. I'm just calling a function that's proprietary. I don't know what's inside this function. I have no idea. I don't even know the part. Like, they don't really describe this processor. They just give you an interface to it, and it's a really super limited, but and it works. It does what they say it does, but there's these side tricks that they don't really document. They don't really tell you. They don't really tell you what the rules are, limitations, because it's like no one does this shit. So, but I'm just crazy that way, I guess. Well, not no one, but people play with it, and that's kind of weird in engineering, where you release this part and people kind of get into it, and they just find the weirdest things out about the part, and you didn't even think about it, and you made it, and they're using it in a way that you didn't think of. It's crazy how that works. But that's maybe I'm sure I'm not the first one that found this little crazy way to do things on this part, but I found it. So, but it didn't work for 2. But it worked for 1. I was like, fuck, so it's this instruction, like, it's like something's hokey with this instruction that I'm using that switches it to an input and open drain. I didn't even figure that out, because the open drain thing turned out to be a wild herring or whatever. It's just like what's it called? Snipe hunt. It turned out to be a snipe hunt, or chasing ghost, or chasing your tail. We call it a lot of things, but that had nothing to do with nothing. That thing, that if you use that thing, it just turned it off. There was this other crazy command that said just make it an input, even though you totaled an output and there's no bidirectional. Just for some reason they left this command in, because sometimes you can make it an input. If it's a digital output, you can make it an analog input to do ADC shit, but you can't do input GPIO. I think that's what it means. I'm not even sure, because I don't use the ADC stuff, so I haven't really figured that out. I don't need to, so I won't. That's kind of how I do things. I only look at things if I need to. So yeah, I don't like wasting time on shit. It's not necessary, you know. Especially if I'm not interested in it anyway. If I'm interested anyway, I don't mind. But if I'm not, why? So neither here nor there. I get in there, and then that's that stupid instruction. Then I was like, okay, well, let's play with that instruction. So then I started playing with it and put in different instructions after it and trying to see what's tripping this instruction up. Like what's recovering it, can I make it work just by doing code weird ways? Just ways that you wouldn't think matters and are not documented, but that's just the way the part works, and it's okay. It's just the way the part works. So, but it's not like something they thought of or intended. Probably. Maybe they did. Who knows? It's not documented. That's for damn sure. So, so I get it working with 2, and I'm like, that works. And then I get it working with 3, and I have to put weird code in different places. And then in the 4th one, it wasn't working. I was like, fuck, what happened? And then I had to cut and paste it. I used the wrong function name, and then and I got all 4. I was like, oh my god, I got them all. And then it's working at the slowest rate, like the 100 kilohertz. So then I get it, and I get it working at 400 kilohertz. I was like, I get it working at that max speed. I was like, oh my god, I got it working. I was like, this is fucking huge. And I get up. After all this time, and beat my head and trying these little tricks and fucking learning all this whole new ecosystem, I finally get it working. It's max speed. I was like, shit. And always in the back of my mind, I think I mentioned it last time, is like, is my code gonna fit in this damn thing? Because I know it's really limited memory. It's 4K, it's 4K bytes storage, like bytes. We're talking minuscule storage compared to today's standards. And I'm doing things at 80 billionths of a second. Yeah, and I only have 4,096 bytes. That's it, total, for RAM and code and everything. So that's it. And I didn't know if that was, I didn't really study the document that well. I think I kind of knew it was the 4K, and it was instructions and data, and I thought maybe it's just data, and I was just blowing smoke up my ass or something. I don't know, blowing rose petals at myself, like thinking of the rosy future, like, don't worry about it, it's nothing, don't worry about that when you get to it. You don't know if you can get to that yet, but I know I mentioned it, I think, on the last video I did. So finally I get it working, and then I send out to I took a picture of the picture on the oscope, and I send it out to my family. This is huge, I made it. And I'm like celebrating, and I'm like, oh, this is freaking so awesome, I can't believe I did it. And this is at the lowest power possible. This is with the part that does the wireless for me, and I got all 4 sensors at the max speed. And I know the sensors may not be able to handle max speed. I'm gonna have to throttle it down, but I can handle max speed, which means I can throttle it down. So that I know is 100% fine, because I had them all working at 100K. I can throttle it down to the min speed if I need. So I was like, I sent out a text to my buddy Raul and Chris. We have a group chat. It's called, I think it's called West End for the Bahamas, because we took a trip, fishing trip, like spearfishing, over to the West End Bahamas, and that was the trip, freaking my best trip ever. That one of the 2, I don't know which one it was, but one of the 2, it was us 3, and we freaking hit that. We hit the West End. We hit the north part, and I got my biggest grouper ever. It was fucking like legit this big, and it was fucking this fat. No, not that fat. Like I'm not. I can show you pictures. I'll put them up. Fucking that fat. And no joke, that was the biggest fish I ever got. That was probably the best trip. We slaughtered. It was so good. It was so good. That was a fun trip. I love that. It's like camping, fishing, whatever. So this is the group I sent it to. I can tell you, I mean, if you want to hear that story. So we went over there. Let me make a mental note of where I was so I can come back to it later, because otherwise I'm freaking get so confused. So I was at the point where I was celebrating, sending it to the group, okay, and my family and everyone, and sending and like boast, like I'll talk about later what I'm talking. So I send to the group and whatever, and then I'm boastful. It's like, it's like Peterson's always like, don't be boastful, even in all kinds of religions, you have to be humble, always be humble. But I'm boasting, right? Because I'm a person that really shows off when I'm doing something I think is freaking awesome. I'm a hot dog. Sorry, I like to freaking dance on stage. I'm the only dad that dances in the hip hop dance for my daughter's recital. I do it every year, so it's just what I do. I'm a show off. I can't help it. So I boasted when I made this work. This super technical thing, I made it work. I boasted to my friends. I boasted to my family, and then so then I have a great night. Oh no! So that happened, and that happened during the day, and this is yesterday. This all happened yesterday, and then later on, I was like, oh fuck yeah. Then I have dinner, and it's like a big win, and I'm celebrating. I'm like, you don't understand, it's really good. And then I get back, and then I try to do the next step, which is doing the last part, which not the last part, but it's the main part where you go in the loop and you read sensors. I was doing before, like writing registers. It's all I did is write a single register, and this is a huge deal, but I did it, and I'm using the lowest power part at the right speeds. Everything's perfect, and and then I have to read these two registers, and it's in a loop. It's not two registers. It's a double read, but I have to do it 3 times because it's 6 times. The 6 axis, I gotta read each axis is 16 bytes data, so I have to read it, all 6 every time. So I try to do the one. I got the one doing reading of 1 register, right? So 1 gyroscope reading 1 register I got working. I was like, fuck yeah. And I was like, oh, that worked the first time. I didn't have to dork with it because I had done all this work to figure this freaking thing out earlier. And so now I'm using it, and it just worked the first time. I was like, oh, that's amazing. So then I went back and looked at the first waveform, fixed it a little bit, tweaked it just to make it perfect. And then I go to because I was doing it a little bit wrong. And then I figured, I saw that, and I was like, I caught it. So it was while I was in there anyway, just fix it, make it perfect, so I don't have to dork with this again. And then I go, and then once I did that, I fucking ran out of space. I was like, oh my God, my world is, and this is after I boasted and whatever, and I was like, fuck, why did I run out of space? So then I thought about it. I was like, you know what? It was pie in the sky. I boasted about it, and then I went in the group. Was like, "Fuck, it doesn't work." And this is after they're replying, "Oh, great job," and I was saying, "Yeah, I might need a board soon." I was like jumping like 10 steps ahead with Raul, because he started his own consulting business in Spain, and in Valencia. He lives over there. This is one of the guys that we went on the fishing trip. This is a really cool guy, Raul. And so I was like, "Fuck." And then this is last night where my wife is, she's watching TV with my daughter, and we're having a great, she's finally back from her work trip. She was gone roughly a week. And I was like, fuck, it doesn't work. I ran out of space. And then she says something really funny. She says, can't you zip it? Like compress the file so it fits? I'm like, but it's like someone that kind of knows what's like a little bit about computers would say, and I just laughed. I was like, that's really funny. I was like, oh man, yeah, that doesn't, it's not possible to do that. That's not how it works at this level of, I'm at the minutia. You can't go below minutia. The only thing below what I'm doing is freaking analog gates. It's like I'm at the low level. I mean, I can do FPGA, but I'm low. You can't zip that. It doesn't work that way. And then I was thinking maybe, and then maybe I was thinking, okay, because we were at the car line picking our daughter up, and we were talking. I was like, maybe I can separate them and do. And she was like, why can't you just? Because I had one working, I could do one working. So, and no, I don't even know if I could fit, because I didn't finish making it work. Whatever. And it's like, it's just broke. It's not gonna work. So I had to send my friend. I was like, shit, it stopped. I ran out of space. I haven't finished it. It's not gonna work. I was like, So then I mean, I can still make it work. It's just I got to do it on the regular processor, which I haven't even barely learned yet, because I had to do. That was next. That was where the Bluetooth stuff is gonna have to be on the regular processor, because there's like, this chip's pretty cool. It's got this tiny little sensor controller that I thought I was gonna I thought I had a huge win, and then it blew up my face. And it's super low power, which was perfect. I mean, these things run. It's what runs as alarms. Those like motion detectors that can go for 10 years with the single little tiny coins. Like this thing will go 10 years on a little watch battery, like a C whatever 32. A tiny little flat. It's like the size smaller than a quarter. Like those quarter-sized batteries. It's like a quarter, and those batteries can last for 10 years, this motion detector. And the ones you can buy at the store, they can do 10 years now, doing the same technology, same low power RF stuff. But they have the bigger, like cylindrical ones, like the bigger honkers, but they can last 10 years too. But this is even crazy power numbers. And that was what I was trying to get it working on, that tiny little thing. That's the type of stuff I'm talking about. This is the edge of low power little gadget shit. So, so it just blew up my face. But it still has the regular microprocessor, and it's got this third arm inside the same little tiny. This is amazing how much stuff's in these things, and it's so tiny. The third arm does the RF, does the Bluetooth stuff for you, so you don't have to dork with it. You just say, yes, I will send this data, and then it says, oh yes, I will take that data now and I will use it. That's the kind of, that's the ecosystem. Like you tell this chip, hey, do this, and it does it, and you don't have to worry about how to do it. It just works, and that's key. And then it comes back and it just works. That was cool. So I still have that. I still have the regular microprocessor that I can do all the GPIO stuff, do all the sensor stuff with anyway. It's just slightly more power. But I want to make it the best I can, and I tried. It's just physically not going to be possible, because I still had to do so much more data, so much more in that sensor controller, and I had to do 3 times as much code as what's already ran out of space. So there's zero chance of working. I'm content with the fact that I did my best, and I learned a lot, and now I can use that sensor controller going forward with anything. Like I know that part. I mean, I worked it. So now I know its true capabilities, and next time, not with ADC stuff, but I know what's the kind of things it can do. I know its world. I know its limitations. And so for the next thing, who knows what's the other idea? Maybe it'll be useful. So, but I boasted, and that's kind of what I want to talk about to you. But you know what? Sometimes boasting is, I'm such a show off. I try to justify it. I don't know if it's justifiable, but I boast, whatever. So then I can standard MCU, whatever. I'll get it working. It's just that's where I ended up, and that's where I got stuck. And I decided. So this is like all in last 2 days. I think I videoed on the 16th or something. So it's been like 5-6 days. And that's what's happened since then. It's been a lot. It was a lot of struggle. I finally hit it. And made it, and I was like, yes. And then poof, hopes crushed. So. And then now today I'm back on the saddle. I knew even when my hopes were crushed, I'm like, you know what, the MCU's there. I got it anyway. It's not as ideal as perfect ideal, but perfect didn't exist. That's a unicorn. I was chasing a unicorn. It's not possible to do what I wanted with that. It's physically that's what we call a unicorn. Unobtainium, whatever they give you these names. It's just not going to be possible to do all that in that tiny little space. But I tried. Yeah, it's amazing what they did to go to the moon with the processors they had. That was pretty badass. It's pretty badass what they did going to the moon with what they had. With what that's amazing. So neither here nor there. So now I'm gonna do the MCU and I'm gonna have a good day. That's the morning. Oh, I want to tell you about the fishing trip. So this is how I know this guy Chris and Raul, who I talked about. Those are the guys I was celebrating with. He's like, yeah, and I told him, hey, anytime you need help on the sensor controller, I freaking know it. Blah. I was being so boastful. God, I was being a dish. It's funny. Yeah, so the fishing trip, I had gone with Raul and this other guy Oscar, these 3-man fishing trips, which was like 5 days and 7 days. One we did in the Bahamas, south of Bimini, where we're spearfishing all day, having beers throughout the day, freaking cooking huevos rancheros every morning, like just drinking rum drinks every night, and that's our trip. It's really cool. It's a lot of work. Like it's freaking you wake up, literally, you eat breakfast, right? That's work because you got to make breakfast because there's no hotel. You're on a 30 something foot boat, maybe 30-foot boat, 3 guys. There's a tiny little berth. I didn't sleep on the deck, but I had sleep on the deck before, and my pillows is freaking beautiful. You see all the stars. It's gorgeous. I mean, you're taking a risk because if it rains, you're